What's up guys, welcome to our brand new series, Iconic Games of a Generation. I'm Phoenix, and in this series we're going to be showcasing some of the old school games whose influence can still be felt in the world of gaming years after their release. In this episode we're going to be sneaking back in time to 1998 to take a look at a game that many would argue gave birth to the stealth-a-mon, the critically acclaimed Metal Gear Solid. So let's take a look, and if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video.
This is Snake. Colonel, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's the situation, Snake?
Looks like the elevator in the back is the only way up.
In the year when Nintendo gave us The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the N64, and Sega gave us Sonic Adventure for their underappreciated Dreamcast console, PlayStation gamers were overwhelmed with cute, family-friendly titles such as Spyro the Dragon, Gex Enter the Gecko, and Bomberman World. We were craving something more, something grounded in reality, something unforgettable. And that's exactly what Konami gave us.
There are only 18 hours left until their deadline. You've got to hurry.
Metal Gear Solid was released to critical acclaim. Over 12 million people played the demo alone, and the full game went on to sell over 7 million copies. Nowadays, those figures seem like a drop in the ocean, but at the time these were huge. The game went on to win a bunch of awards, has featured on various best video game lists, and has spawned numerous sequels and media adaptations. So what made this game so special?
Metal Gear. It can't be.
No, it wasn't just Metal Gear as Snake suggests, though that did play a role. It was the whole package, everything, all of it. The game was a big lesson in innovation.
Naomi, the chief. What happened?
I don't know. It looked like a heart attack, but...
A heart attack? No.
The first thing that springs to mind is the storyline. This could have come straight from a Hollywood blockbuster, making you wonder why a Metal Gear film still hasn't been released yet. I mean, what are they doing? This game almost demands a big screen adaptation. The plot strikes almost a perfect balance between realism and lunacy, which was about right for the late 90s.
No, don't touch it!
C4.
So a group of terrorists have taken over a nuclear weapons facility in Alaska and are threatening the US government that they'll launch a nuke if the demands aren't met. Pretty believable, right? Though these aren't just any terrorists. These terrorists are led by a special group of mercenaries who have all been subjected to gene therapy to enhance their abilities. Okay, so it gets a little more out there, but it's still not quite beyond belief. Well, at least until Psycho Mantis, but we'll get to him later.
That's right. This is no trick. It's true power.
So how does the US respond? Do they send in the army, the navy, the air force? Nope. They send in this retired soldier dude called Snake, because he lives nearby and, well, I guess he's a legend. Oh, and to make things worse, he goes in unarmed. Turns out that he was the perfect man for the job though, and through the course of the game we're treated to an emotional story that raises a lot of real questions about everything from nuclear disarmament to sexism in the military to military spending.
They're working on a limited budget. They try to put on a pretty face for the media, but this is the grim reality of it.
While looking back today, the graphics look dated, and at the time they weren't really anything special, but we didn't care. The story was presented in such a great way, making such good use of in-engine cinematic cutscenes and multiple camera angles that sometimes it feels like you're taking part in an interactive CGI movie instead of playing a video game. This brings us nicely onto the gameplay of Metal Gear Solid. This was where the game made the biggest ripples throughout the gaming world. The tagline was tactical espionage action, and that's exactly what Hideo Kojima and his team at Konami gave us. It's not a game where you run in and shoot up the place. This is a game that encourages and rewards the stealth approach. The same can be said of a lot of games now, but back then this was a fairly new concept. The game requires you to check out your surroundings before you head in, because if you don't and you head in blind, it'll be game over very quickly. You need to think outside the box, such as using cigarette smoke to see a laser tripwire. And interestingly, for a game that's over 20 years old, the AI also appears to do just that. The enemies will hear your footsteps on metal surfaces, follow your footprints in the snow, and even investigate the visible steam on your breath. You can use all of these things to your advantage, or they can lead to your downfall. Patience is definitely the name of the game.
I was a fool. I wanted to be a soldier. But war is ugly. There's nothing glamorous about it.
The stealth aspect of this game gave birth to a whole host of stealth games and truly popularised the stealth genre. Games that followed, such as Siphon Filter in 1999, Hitman in 2000 and Splinter Cell in 2002, were among the first to embrace this new style of play. But the legacy of Metal Gear Solid can still be felt today in more recent releases such as the Assassin's Creed franchise by Ubisoft and Rocksteady's Arkham series featuring Batman himself.
See you in hell, Liquid. That takes care of the cremation.
Now, all of this would have been more than enough to cement Kojima's name among the greatest video game designers of all time. But why stop there when you can truly mess with your audience? The main antagonists in Metal Gear Solid all had something special. Sniper Wolf, the deadliest female assassin the world had ever known. Revolver Ocelot, a Russian mercenary whose ability with a 6-shooter would make Billy the Kid turn in his grave. And then there's Psycho Mantis, who could transcend the limits of the console and actually read your mind. Well, kinda. Kojima wanted to break that fourth wall in such a way that kept you immersed in the game, and he succeeded in doing so in the most ingenious fashion. Through a combination of technology and storytelling, he managed to pull off an incredible illusion, which, when witnessed for the first time, was the most unnerving but thoroughly entertaining part of Metal Gear Solid.
You doubt my power?
When you first encounter the character known as Psycho Mantis, he begins telling you about your past, or rather, Snake's past. He'll comment on how many enemies you've killed during your playthrough, how many times you've saved, and similar information that would easily have been pulled from your stats. At this point, it doesn't seem that special, but then he hits you with a list of Konami games you've played by reading the contents of your memory card. For that brief second, there's a definite sense of how in the hell does he do that. For those playing with vibrating control pads, he then goes one step further and tells you to lay down your controller. You watch in awe as it moves across the floor according to his will.
You have not said often. You are somewhat reckless. I can read you like an open book.
Now we all know this was achieved with clever programming and technical wizardry, but my 13-year-old self didn't, and for a short time I really was taken in by the power of Mantis. That was just the beginning though, because during the fight itself you couldn't hit him. Every move you made he was one step ahead. He was unbeatable, or so we thought. This was another genius idea by Kojima and his team. The only way to beat Mantis was to plug your controller into the second port on your PlayStation, preventing him from reading your mind. Ah, the days before wireless.
Oh, you used the other. I wasn't able to read the future.
A strong man doesn't need to read the future. He makes his own.
Anyways, the Mantis fight was legendary and truly unforgettable, but Kojima had also broken that wall earlier in the game when you needed a radio frequency. You were told it was on the CD case, and at the time there was a CD in your inventory, so surely it was there. Nope, not even close. It was on the actual CD case that the game was in. Mind blown.
How do I stop it?
Metal Gear Solid has had such an impact on the gaming world that returning to it after all this time, I found it just as enjoyable as I did from the first time I booted it up and heard the hauntingly beautiful theme music. There was something in the way that Kojima framed the game within historical fact that made it believable, while within his own level of paranormal lunacy added moments of jaw-dropping disbelief and pure unbridled entertainment.
Snake, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at.
You can ask any gamer who was around at the time to name some of the best games of the 90s, and I can almost guarantee that Metal Gear Solid will be up there. The name Konami literally translates as small wave, and in this case that small wave produced a great storm. Metal Gear Solid is a timeless classic, a legendary experience, and one of the most iconic games of a generation.
You mustn't allow yourself to be chained to fate, to be ruled by your genes. Humans can choose the type of life they want to live.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Iconic Games of a Generation. I hope you enjoyed looking back as much as I did. Tell me, what did you think of Metal Gear Solid? What games would you consider were iconic or influential? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you never miss a video. Next time, we'll be heading even further back to 1996 to Raccoon City for a look at how Resident Evil shaped the landscape of the survival horror genre, so stay tuned. Until next time friends, stay safe.